Good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour et bienvenue à tout le monde. A very special welcome to all of you. I especially want to recognize that we have members of Cabinet here today. We're delighted to have you here, as well as members of the Legislative Assembly. And we're delighted to have all of you, ladies and gentlemen, very special guests, one and all. Welcome to this very, very special event. My name's Dwight McCauley, and I'm honored today to be the Master of Ceremonies for today's very special event. The Order of Manitoba, just so you know, is the highest honor the province can bestow on anyone, the highest honor. And today we're going to be awarding it to 12 very deserving individuals. By the way, this room, the room we're in, it is the most beautiful, and it is the ceremonial room of the Manitoba Legislative Building. And it's only used for very, very special occasions, like the special event that we're all gathered here for this afternoon. Now, the ceremony will start in just a moment. But first, I'd like to take a moment and remind you that all pictures taken today will be available on the website of the Lieutenant Governor as of Monday. We have an official photographer who will be taking pictures, and all of the pictures will be available. And why am I saying this? What I'm asking is that you not come down the center aisle to take pictures of your very special person as they receive the Order of Manitoba. It's actually distracting, and it takes away from the ceremony itself. There'll be lots of time for photos at the end of today's event. Now, I'd like to ask all of you who have a cell phone, I'd like you to please take a moment and turn your cell phone off. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the entrance of the official party? This is the Order of Manitoba Advisory Council, followed by the entrance of the Premier of Manitoba, the Honourable Brian Pallister and Mrs. Pallister, and remain standing for the entrance of their honours, the Honourable Janice Phillip, Lieutenant Governor of Manitoba, and His Honour, the Honourable Gary Phillip. I'd like you all to remain standing as well for the playing of the Vice-Regal Salute. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the singing of God Save the Queen. Thank you. Please be seated. To start our program this afternoon, I'm honored to invite the Honorable Janice Phillip, Lieutenant Governor of Manitoba and Chancellor of the Order of Manitoba, to bring greetings. Your Honor.
Thank you, Dwight. Premier, Chief Justice, special guests all, and especially our recipients, friends, Manitobans, people of passion and vision, welcome to this celebration of the spirit that you bring to this province. We are gathered here on Treaty 1 land, on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, and of the homeland of the Métis people. Less than 2 weeks ago, we were gathered as friends or family in the midst of crowds of our fellow citizens to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Confederation. And in a few years, there's going to be another significant milestone that will bring us together, the 150th anniversary of the creation of our province, the province of Manitoba. On that special day, we will do what we've been doing all this year. We will reflect on what we have learned and how we have grown in a century and a half. And we will think of the people that have brought us together, who have inspired us, who have taught us, and have taught us to listen and to imagine. We will think of the men and women like those we honor today, the members of the Order of Manitoba. Since 2000, induction into the Order of Manitoba has recognized great contributions toward the social, cultural, and economic well-being of this province and its people. At the local, national, or international level, in all fields of endeavor, the members of the Order of Manitoba have enhanced life for others. As you hear the stories of these remarkable individuals, you will be struck by the range of their accomplishments, and you will be struck by the long-term dedication they've shown to creation, to building, to learning, to help their fellow human beings. They remind us of the power of passion to provide a focus to life. Their passion for excellence and their commitment to community have provided them with the determination and the energy to keep at it year after year, decade after decade. In all they do, these members of the Order of Manitoba demonstrate leadership in its purest form, but their leadership is not the product of the titles they've had or the jobs they've held. Members of the Order of Manitoba know that leadership isn't a plaque on an office door. It's a spark in the mind or a fire in the heart. It's a life that is open to the spirit that is all around us. So I congratulate all of today's new members of the Order of Manitoba. Your achievements don't just make this a more prosperous, healthier, and more just province. Your example opens our hearts so that we too can be filled with the passion and compassion, creativity and curiosity, justice and joy. Thank you for what you do and what you have done to inspire all those around you. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd now like to invite the Reverend Lesley Fox, Padre at 17 Wing, to deliver the invocation. Padre.
I've had the privilege of seeing Manitoba from different perspectives, on the ground, most assuredly, and above and through and below the clouds. If you want to understand the concept of vision, which I think is part of what we celebrate this day, you need to find someone who loves to fly, because pilots will help you understand where you are in respect of where everything else is. The most common miracle in my holy word, the New Testament, is the giving of sight to the blind. These are parables and stories of the ways in which God gives insight or truths that we discern from our visions. In a world that's too often preoccupied, disinterested, and unengaged, we celebrate people today who are open, curious, and interested. The people that we honor before us have in unique ways helped Manitobans rediscover wonder, reverence, and beauty. So we have social justice advocates, business people, athletes, entertainers, and scientists. Elizabeth Barrett Browning once wrote, "Earth's crammed with heaven, and every common bush afire with God, but only he who sees takes off his shoes. The rest sit round it and pluck blackberries." The Manitobans we honor today are the ones in our society who show us how to be open to potential, possibility, and to life itself and the sacredness of life. They have learned to look beyond sight and to listen beyond sound. These are our visionaries, our prophets, our dreamers, and our teachers. One thing I do love about the military, and that the military loves, is maps. And map makers include often a few fake towns or rivers or roads in order to protect their copyright. It messes with Google's head a great deal. If another map maker produces a map that's included one of these non-existent towns or rivers or roads, they know that their first map has been copied, and they call them paper towns or copyright traps. Well, in the 1930s, the General Drafting Company had 4 individuals who created a town called Algo, New York, and each of the letters of Algo represented the draftsman. Since that time, a store and a gas station were actually built in that area. And then in the 1970s, Rand McNally sued an oil company which published a map where this town was on it. And they thought they had an airtight case. But there is a store in that area, and there is a gas station there. And where once there was a paper town, now there is a real town. It was envisioned into its reality. Today we thank God for those of you who have envisioned truth and envisioned innovation. And on our 150th anniversary, you have been a bridge between past and present and future. And we celebrate your deeds because good eyes bring us great sight, but good vision always brings us great deeds. May you continue to inspire your fellow Manitobans with your dreams and your visions. Thanks be to God.
Thank you, Padre. Each year during the Order of Manitoba ceremony, we take a moment to pause and reflect on members of the Order of Manitoba who have passed away during the past year. This year, we remember Dr. Joseph Dew. Dr. Dew was a leader and a pillar in Manitoba's Chinese community. Dr. Dew received the Order of Manitoba in 2003, and he passed away in March of this year. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll ask you for a moment of silence, please, as we remember Dr. Joseph Dew. Thank you. Now, let's proceed with the ceremony and the investiture of 12 very deserving, talented, and dedicated individuals into the Order of Manitoba. Mr. David Angus. A former president and CEO of the Winnipeg Chamber of Commerce, David Angus continues to demonstrate vision and leadership in business, economic development, and community services. He was also instrumental in the creation of Winnipeg's World Trade Center. In his roles with the Winnipeg Chamber, David Angus championed Winnipeg and Manitoba as a leader in business development and in environmental innovation. Under his leadership, the Chamber achieved its highest membership levels in history and was recognized by the Canadian Chamber of Commerce and the American Chamber of Commerce for being in the top 10 chambers for membership growth. David Angus was named Executive of the Year by the Canadian Chamber in 2012. He also played a key role in raising awareness in the business community of Winnipeg's ability to provide practical and visionary solutions to a range of local and global issues, such as freshwater management, climate change, and green job creation. He also played a leading role in the work of the Winnipeg Poverty Reduction Council. Your Honor, Mr. David Angus. Ms. Marlene Bertrand. Marlene Bertrand is an innovator and a specialist in family violence intervention and prevention. Throughout her 30 years of work in this field, she's been instrumental in shaping public policy and program responses to family violence at the community, provincial, national, and international levels. She was a founding director of the Westman Women's Shelter in Brandon. She served as director of the Osborne House in Winnipeg, was a director of Manitoba's Family Violence Prevention Program, and sat on boards and committees in and out of government, including serving 2 terms as chair of the Manitoba Women's Advisory Council. Nationally, she founded and co-chaired the federal, provincial, and territorial area on domestic violence. She was also part of the research study going into violence in the military. Internationally, she's worked with government officials and community non-government organizations in the West Indies, in Mexico, and also in the Middle East to create service responses to gender-based violence and abuse. Currently, she serves as a special advisor to our Family Services Minister with the provincial government. Your Honor, Ms. Marlene Bertrand. Mrs. Doreen Brownstone. British-born actress Doreen Brownstone came to Canada as a war bride and became known as an outstanding Manitoba actor and theatre performer whose talents have entertained audiences across Canada for over 6 decades. At the age of 94, she is one of the oldest working professional stage actors in Canada, and she was the first to work past the age of 80. Doreen Brownstone has appeared in more than 100 theatrical productions. She has performed for the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre, the Prairie Theatre Exchange, Winnipeg Jewish Theatre, Theatre Projects Manitoba, Rainbow Stage, and many independent companies. She's also performed for the Belfry Theatre in Montreal, the Magnus Theatre in Thunder Bay, and Ontario's Drayton Festival. She also co-starred with Gordon Pinsent in MTC's inaugural season production of A Fistful of Rain in 1958. She was also the only actor from that first season to perform in the theatre's 50th anniversary season. Doreen Brownstone was the first recipient of the Alliance of Canadian Cinema, Television and Radio Artists, otherwise known as ACTRA. She was the first to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award. She also received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Winnipeg Arts Council and Equity's National Council. She received this for her outstanding contribution to the performing arts. She was named ACTRA Manitoba's Woman of the Year in 2013. In December of 2014, she starred in the Prairie Theatre Exchange production of Vigil, after which she retired from acting. Your Honor, Mrs. Doreen Brownstone. Mr. Selwyn Burrows. A well-known community activist, Sel Burrows has spent a lifetime dedicated to issues of social justice and helping people and communities in need. Most recently as the chair of Winnipeg's North Point Douglas Residents Committee, which works to rid the inner city neighborhood of gangs, drugs, and derelict houses. His work has served to inspire communities across Canada, and as a result, he has received national acclaim. Now retired, he's worked in several capacities, including as the Director of Fundraising and Communications, as was involved with both the Manitoba Government Employees Union and the Canadian Union of Public Employees. He served as an executive assistant to then Premier Ed Schreier in the 1970s and was a senior corrections official under Manitoba Premier Sterling Lyon. During the 1980s, he and his wife spent 2 years volunteering in the social services and educational systems in Nicaragua. On their return to Manitoba, they established the Nicaraguan Children's Fund, a small international development agency. In the early 1990s, Sel Burrows helped establish Choices, a social justice coalition in Winnipeg, and took on a 5-year crusade for tax fairness in Canada that set new legal precedents in the country. Under his leadership, the North Point Douglas area has seen a significant reduction in crime rate as residents have worked to take back their community. Your Honor, Mr. Selwyn Burrows. Mr. Phillip Enns. Phil Enns is a founding partner of Triple E Canada Limited, based in Winkler. He's a community builder, a leader, and a mentor with a widely celebrated recognition for his entrepreneurial and philanthropic spirit. Phil Enns was born in Rhineland, Manitoba, and completed his education at the Canadian Mennonite Bible College, Red River College, and also at the University of Manitoba. In 1965, along with his father-in-law and his brother-in-law, he started Triple E, a manufacturer of recreational vehicles. Initially, he started as Director of Sales and Marketing and went on to serve as the company president and CEO. Today, he serves the corporation as chairman of the board. Under his leadership, Triple E Canada has grown to be the southern Manitoba's largest employer, employing almost 700 people. It also has international sales of approximately $130 million annually. His wide-ranging community service spans local, provincial, and national boards, organizations, and initiatives. In Winkler alone, his service includes the Industrial Development Corporation, Town Planning Association, the School Board, Habitat for Humanity, and Big Brothers. He is also the driving force behind the Winkler Festival of the Arts. He is a charter member of the Faith and Life Choirs and serves as the assistant choir director at the Winkler Bergtaler Mennonite Church. Phillip Enns is also president of the P.W. Enns Family Foundation, a charity that has supported such projects as the Heritage Center in Winnipeg and a hospital in Taiwan, as well as numerous projects in the Winkler area, including the Bethel Hospital. Your Honor, Mr. Phil Enns. Ms. Ann Lindsay. Ann Lindsay helped establish the Manitoba Eco Network in 1989, serving as its coordinator and then executive director for 23 years. A respected voice on environmental sustainability across Canada, many consider her the mother of environmentalism in Manitoba. The Manitoba Eco Network functions as an umbrella organization for many environmental agencies, for which it supplies resources. It promotes public awareness and supplies resources and community engagement with respect to environmental issues. It's also one of the most effective members in the Canadian Environmental Network. Ann Lindsay led the network from a one-person office to a registered nonprofit charity with a budget of $500,000 a year. Under her leadership, the Manitoba Eco Network has created a strong provincial network of organizations dedicated to fostering nonpartisan, critical discussion of pressing environmental and natural resource issues. She has led and participated in the development of numerous projects ranging from climate change, food security, and clean water, to projects involving organic lawn care and green office space. Her research and advocacy on a multitude of environmental issues has made her the go-to source for information and a major source in the environmental movement in Manitoba. Your Honor, Ms. Ann Lindsay. Ms. Lisa Meaches. Originally from the Long Plain First Nation in Treaty 1 territory, Lisa Meaches has become one of Canada's most highly respected television and film producers, and a woman whose commitment to her craft and to her community has been guided by her Aboriginal culture and by her spirituality. She began her career with the Winnipeg-based Native Media Network in 1986, before becoming a news reporter with Craig Broadcasting Systems in Manitoba and also in the province of Alberta. Today, she is the president and owner of Meaches Video Productions and the president and co-owner of Eagle Vision, Inc., two Winnipeg-based production companies, as well as the co-president of Century Street Distribution. She's also enjoyed success as a director and as a writer. Lisa Meaches served as the executive producer and host of the award-winning documentary series, The Sharing Circle, which ran for 16 seasons and became the longest-running Aboriginal series in Canadian television history. She also produced Tippy Tales, a children's TV series promoting lessons based on the 7 ancient Aboriginal laws of love, respect, courage, honesty, wisdom, humility, and truth. Broadcast in English and Ojibwe, it earned 2 prestigious Parent Choice Awards. She is also currently working on the 2nd season of Taken for APTN and CBC, a true crime documentary series focusing on solving the mysteries behind Canada's missing and murdered Indigenous women. Lisa Meaches has also been the driving force behind the success of the annual Manitoba Abi Festival, serving originally as a volunteer before becoming the event's executive director. She has received many awards for her creative endeavors, her mentorship, and for her leadership. Your Honor, Ms. Lisa Meaches. Dr. Ray Pactigan. Dr. Ray Pactigan has received local, national, and international recognition for his contribution in the areas of medicine and his public and community service. Born in the Philippines, he immigrated to Canada in 1968 and became a leader in the provincial and national Filipino communities. He was the founding president of the Philippine Association of Manitoba and president of the United Council of Filipino Canadians in Canada. As a practicing medical doctor, Dr. Pactigan studied medicine in the Philippines and in the United States before joining the Children's Hospital in Winnipeg as a lung specialist. He became director of the Cystic Fibrosis Center at the hospital in 1974 and professor of pediatrics in 1985. He's also served as president of the Manitoba Pediatric Society and chair of the pediatric section of the Manitoba Medical Association. Prior to his first federal election, he has served a term as a school trustee in the St. Vital district. But in 1988, he made history as the first Filipino Canadian elected to Canada's Parliament. In government from 1993 to 2004, he served as Minister of Veterans Affairs, Minister of Western Economic Diversification, and he was also Secretary of State for Science, Research, and Development. After he retired as a Member of Parliament, Dr. Pactigan was appointed as the founding director of the Global College at the University of Winnipeg and as chair of the college's advisory board. Most recently, he became a columnist for Manitoba's Filipino Express. Your Honor, Dr. Ray Pactigan. Dr. Jim Peebles. Award-winning physicist Dr. Jim Peebles is the Albert Einstein Professor of Science Emeritus at Princeton University. He is also the world's leading theoretical cosmologist. Born and raised in Winnipeg, he received his bachelor's degree in physics from the University of Manitoba in 1957 and his PhD from Princeton University in 1960, where he has remained ever since. Dr. Peebles has contributed more than any other living scientist to our understanding of the origin of the large-scale structure in the universe, including the formation of galaxies like our own Milky Way. He's also made many important contributions to the Big Bang model and pioneered the theory of the synthesis of light elements, such as helium, in the Big Bang. With Robert Dicke and others, he predicted the existence of cosmic background radiation, which has subsequently been discovered and used to map out the shape, size, and age of the universe. He has led statistical studies of clustering and superclustering of galaxies, provided evidence of the existence of large quantities of dark matter in the halos of galaxies, and today he continues to work on the origins of the galaxies. Your Honor, Dr. Jim Peebles. Mr. Robert Bob Picken. A giant in the sports media industry, Bob Picken has demonstrated excellence as a broadcaster and a journalist for more than 6 decades. He has additionally excelled as an administrator, sport organizer, mentor, and volunteer. He grew up in Winnipeg's North End and began his journalistic career while as a student at St. John's High School in 1948, when he covered the Winnipeg Midget Hockey League for the Winnipeg Citizen. He was also a catcher with the Elmwood Giants for 10 years, winning the Manitoba Juvenile Crown in 1951. As a working reporter, he distinguished himself on the provincial, national, and international stage. He has been the voice of sport in Manitoba, primarily covering golf and curling. He did play-by-play of the Winnipeg Junior Jets and Canada's national team broadcasts. He spent several decades covering the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Canadian Football League and covered every major Canadian golf championship at least once. His lifetime contribution to curling includes roles as administrator, volunteer, and also as a curler. He's also served as the first media officer of the World Curling Federation. Bob Picken has been a dedicated volunteer. His board service includes being past president of the Manitoba Junior Baseball League, past president of the Grey Owl Golf Tournament, and as a board member with the Manitoba Curling Association. He's been a mentor to many in the business, and he served as media services volunteer at the 2013 Canadian Olympic Curling Trials, and even today, he continues to serve as the drawmaster of the Grey Owl Golf Tournament. Your Honor, Mr. Bob Picken. Mr. Paul Robson. During more than 5 decades and many career milestones, Paul Robson has demonstrated an outstanding record of service to his community, to this province, and to the country. A former educator and also a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, he went on to become assistant manager and then general manager of the Winnipeg Football Club, bringing the Grey Cup back to Winnipeg after a 22-year absence. In 1989, as Assistant Deputy Minister for Manitoba Tourism, he was key to the completion of many significant initiatives, including the Forks Waterfront Project and the Oak Hammock Marsh Waterfall Initiative. He also served as publisher of the Winnipeg Sun and subsequently as Vice President of Sanford Evans Communications. He's also served as CEO of the Red River Exhibition Association, where he played a major role in the construction of the association's $7 million exhibition fairground. Paul joined Canadiens in 2008 as a consultant, and in 2012, he assumed the position as Chief Executive Officer of the Canadiens Corporation, Manitoba's largest hotel operator. He held this position until March 2016, when he announced his retirement. He's been chair of many boards, including Tourism Winnipeg, the Board of Governors of the Canadian Football League, and the advisory board of the 2000 Provincial Millennium Celebration. He was Western Vice President of the Canadian Football Players Association and Vice President and Chair of the 1999 Pan American Games Host Society. Your Honor, Mr. Paul Robson. Ms. Beverly Suick. Beverly Suick is the founder of Women's Housing Initiative Manitoba, a unique housing concept through which a small group of older, single women live together, sharing tasks and expenses. Through her initiative and leadership, the Retirement Options for Women's program was established to create new and innovative housing options for older women. She founded the Women's Enterprise Center, and inspired by a belief in women's equality, she also loaned her support to significant community partnerships such as the Provincial Council of Women of Manitoba. As president of the Riverview Community Centre, she played a key role in the centre's operations and renovations, which included a new playground, youth programming, and the addition of accessible washrooms. Recognizing the need for a birthing centre in Winnipeg, she initiated discussions for a possible centre and received a development grant from the Winnipeg Foundation. Beverly Suick is also the founder and president of Kayla Shiva AIDS Services. She organized a group of more than 200 volunteers to provide assistance to people with AIDS, primarily to help them stay in their homes as long as possible, and also to die in their home if that was their wish. Kayla Shiva continues today, but it's better known as the Sunshine House. She was the founder and chair of the Interdepartmental Committee for Equal Opportunities for Women in the Public Service of Canada. This group led to the recognition of inequalities within the federal public service, inspiring the creation of employment equity programs, resulting in more advancement opportunities for women. Your Honor, Ms. Beverly Suick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have the 2017 Order of Manitoba recipients. Let's give them all a nice round of applause. It's now my pleasure to invite the Premier of Manitoba, the Honourable Brian Pallister, to come forward and bring greetings. Premier?
I don't know about you, but I stand here humbled and in awe of the incredible accomplishments of this year's acknowledged recipients of the Order of Manitoba, and I think we should show our appreciation and congratulations one more time. As you all know, this ceremony is very special for many reasons, but it is the Order of Manitoba that is Manitoba's highest honor. And that is an incredible thing for us to acknowledge today. And it recognizes individuals who have demonstrated in a real way excellence and achievement that has benefited in an outstanding manner the social, cultural, or economic well-being of Manitoba and of its residents. Comme vous le savez, l'Ordre de Manitoba est l'honneur le plus important dans sa province. L'Ordre existe pour reconnaître des individus qui ont démontré l'excellence et la réussite qui bénéficient d'une manière extraordinaire. Le bien-être social, culturel et économique du Manitoba et ses résidents. The Manitobans who we are recognizing here today unquestionably exceed that standard. And as I watched them being acknowledged, a number of thoughts struck my mind. The first, I suppose, would be the incredibly diverse nature of the backgrounds of the people we honor today. Ethnicity, occupational pursuits, focused beliefs, demonstrated the remarkable achievements that they share, both individually and as a group, I think in many ways reflect the incredible diversity that is our province, that is the province of Manitoba. We are the home of hope for the world and for the people who come here and have come here throughout our history. And your actions and your contributions have demonstrated in a real way the worth of that statement and the legitimacy of it. You reflect that cultural mosaic that we take pride in, that makes our society so very strong, that is the envy of the world. And secondly, I was struck by the incredible range of the accomplishments. I mean, I can't find a parking spot, and Mr. Peebles knows the universe by heart. You know, just incredible, the accomplishments in the arts and the giving back to society, the public service, the business record, the contributions to our artistic fabric, so many of these things in our sports community that make us such a wonderful place to live. It is a reminder, if we needed another one, and we all had one on July 1st, I hope, of how blessed we are to live in this wonderful country and in this wonderful part of a wonderful country as well. Today is a reminder, again, of that greatness, of those achievements. They can be measured in many different ways, but I would say also that despite the tremendous diversity and the tremendous differences among this year's recipients, what was clear from the commendations that Mr. McCauley was reading was a common trait. Each of our recipients have devoted considerable and significant effort, time, energy to helping others, to giving back to those whose lives matter deeply to them. This is something we do well in this province and something that we are right to acknowledge today and do. We consistently lead the nation that is one of the most caring in the world in caring. We are Canada's most gracious volunteers of our time. We are Canada's leading donors to worthwhile causes, and in a sense today we demonstrate our support for the most worthwhile cause, making Manitoba better, not just good but great. Today we celebrate that as well. I thank all of you for sharing in this reception today. I congratulate the recipients and honor them and their families for the tremendous sacrifices and work that they have given to become so special. To our inductees, I have to say thank you so much. On behalf of all Manitobans, congratulations. You have, each of you, impacted the lives of your fellow citizens in very significant ways. Your leadership, your contributions, your accomplishments are an inspiration to all of us. Chacune de ces Manitobans a impacté les vies de beaucoup de leurs concitoyens dans une manière tellement positive. We are, all of us here today, and I think all Manitobans as well, are proud of you and thank you. And on behalf of all Manitobans, I convey our sincere appreciation, our congratulations, and I say a sincere and heartfelt well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. As you can appreciate, there are many people involved in putting on an event like this, and I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank some of the many people who have really gone above and beyond in making today's event such a success. I'll just ask you to hold your applause until I go through the whole list. But I want to thank the staff of the Manitoba Protocol Office, Communications Services, the staff of the Office of Her Honor, the Lieutenant Governor, the building maintenance staff under the direction of Mr. Todd Micklash, the audiovisual support provided by News Media Services, and I'd also like to thank our pianist this afternoon, Mr. Rick Yerish. There are two people in particular I want to single out for a special thanks. One is Miss Karen Masterton of the Protocol Office, who's done so much work over the past year on the Order of Manitoba. She was the lady, by the way, that was here with the official register. And I'd also like to thank Ms. Nancy Boomer, who did a tremendous amount of work for the Order of Manitoba Advisory Council prior to our annual meeting that was held earlier this year. Thank you all very much, and ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a nice round of applause for them. Well, we're now near the end of today's ceremony, but after we sing O Canada, all of you in the room are certainly invited for refreshments, and they'll be available at the back of the room today. Also, following O Canada, just a little bit of housekeeping. I'd ask all the Order of Manitoba recipients to gather here at the front by their honors, along with the Premier of Manitoba, for an official photo. And by the way, this photo will be on display for the next year as part of our Order of Manitoba display, which is located near the office of the Lieutenant Governor, which is located on the second floor of the Legislative Building. Now, ladies and gentlemen, would you all please rise for the singing of our national anthem, O Canada, and please sing in the language of your choice. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Thank you all very much. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you, merci, and miigwech.